Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Murray and welcome to this week's episode of The Gift of Giving. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this program pays tribute to those foundations, non-profits and 501c3 corporations right here in Nevada, and to those individuals who are the unsung heroes who are working with all of these foundations. Today we are very pleased to have as our guest Kathleen Miller, the founder of Living Grace Homes. Thank you for joining us, Kathleen.
Thank you
and
for
welcome
having me.
to the program.
Thank you.
To start, why don't you tell us a little bit about the background of Living Grace Homes before we get into the specifics and when it was founded?
Well, the founding date is February of 2007. But it was probably 5 years of research and development that was based on the reports that Clark County, Nevada, had the highest teen pregnancy rate in the country, and at the time there was no program that focused on having a healthy pregnancy. So, if a young lady ended up being kicked out of her home, or if she was in the foster care system and got pregnant at that time, she was simply put into like a group foster home that was based on either behavior or a mental health condition rather than focusing on her pregnancy. And so our focus from the beginning has been young moms 14 to 24 who were either homeless or in danger of being homeless, often as a result of their pregnancy, and so we have 5 pillars, 5 areas that we focus on to help make sure that they have a healthy pregnancy.
Oh my, what a wonderful organization, and you're the founder, right?
I am one of the founders.
You're one of the founders. What was the catalyst that made you actually get involved in it or start the organization?
Well, in 1998, I moved here in 1994. In 1998, there was a lady who had been doing pro-life work. She had opened a pregnancy resource center in 1974, a year after Roe versus Wade, to provide alternatives to women who were in crisis pregnancies that needed other choices. And so she had done it for 30 years, and in 98 she was 80 years old, and she came to me and said, "Can you take over? It's time for me to step aside." And so she took me around to church groups and ladies groups and introduced me as her replacement, and people would come up and say, "Kathleen, what we really need here is a home for pregnant moms." And my response was, "You're right, we do. As soon as somebody decides to do that, you let me know. I'll help however I can." Mm-hmm. It took a few years to figure out that God had changed my name to somebody. And so I'd better start working on what this was going to look like. In the meantime, I had a radio program on KKVV, the Christian radio station here locally, mm-hmm. Called A Choice for Life. And I was getting constant updates about Clark County having the top teen pregnancy rate in the country. By the way, we're no longer number 1, and that's a good thing, because Clark County's been number 1 in too many of the bad things. So,
isn't that the truth?
Right?
So, it's nice you're moving it in the right direction, we are moving in the right direction.
Yes.
You said that you've taken ladies from 14 to 24. I mean, 14.
Yes.
Yikes, that's a young age.
Yeah, we've actually had as young as 13. But honestly, if they are under that age, even some that are that age, but if they're under that age, there's usually a criminal investigation involved. Yes. There's usually a criminal act that has occurred that has to be addressed by both the police and the Department of Family Services. So,
gosh, even so, it's kind of frightening to think that there are ladies this young and out on the streets with nowhere to go. I mean, that's absolutely horrible. What percentage of the people that you have are still in their teens. Is it 50-50 or?
No, our average age is now 18 and a half. It has gone up over the course of the 16 and a half years. Originally, we had our foster care license, and so for the first several years, the average age was about 16 to 16 and a half. And we still get young ladies in that age range, the 14 to 16. The overall, nationwide, not just here in Nevada, but nationwide, teen pregnancy has gone down significantly. It's gone down by almost 50% in the last 30 years.
Oh,
However,
wow.
out of wedlock pregnancies for women overall has gone up. So we get 8 to 10 calls a week or inquiries a week from women who are over the age of 24, and there's no programs available for them.
So do you just have to turn them away, or do you make exceptions?
Well, we have made exceptions in the past, but our focus now is to collaborate with a couple of other organizations to open a home for those moms that are 24 and up, so that we can provide the same type of wraparound services to them that we provide to the younger ladies. So.
Okay. Now you provide shelter.
We have two homes, two residential homes in residential neighborhoods. You wouldn't know that they were maternity homes. There's no signage that says pregnant moms live here. The neighbors know what we do, and great deal of support from our neighbors in both neighborhoods. So.
That's great. So how many people are in each home? How many people do you accommodate at one time?
So our capacity at our first home is 8, any combination of moms and babies. And it is primarily where the moms go during their pregnancy and for a period of time after the baby is born. And then the second home, and fortunately they're only a mile apart, the second home is for those moms who already have a baby, or maybe more than one, and they either haven't finished high school, don't have any work experience, or possibly have an open case with the Department of Family Services where they're doing the things that they need to do to either get or maintain custody of their children, but they don't have a safe home or environment or stable home to take the children home to. So if they're at Living Grace, the Department of Family Services is one of the people that we cooperate and collaborate with. They have come and toured the facility. They have a copy of what our rules are. They know what our program is, and so they find that to be a safe environment for a young woman who has had a report on her that she needs help in parenting her children.
Wow.
So.
Now, I would imagine that you're full pretty much all the time.
We generally have a waiting list.
Yes, I'm sure.
That I think that we have not. I think we've had maybe 2, possibly 3 weeks out of the last 5 years where we have cleared our waiting list. But
oh my.
It's generally there's anywhere from 7 to 15 people that have inquired, that have gone through the interview process, that we don't yet have a bed available.
My goodness. Hold that thought a second. We're just going to take a little brief commercial break and have a word from our sponsor.
As a proud sponsor of the Gift of Giving, Thomas Dermatology is deeply rooted in its Las Vegas community and is always looking for ways to give back and continue to serve patients of the Las Vegas Valley. Amidst the rapidly and ever-changing landscape of healthcare delivery, both nationally and locally, our singular focus on patient care has remained constant. We have grown responsibly, enabling our team of skincare experts to provide all the benefits of a large practice while maintaining the care and relationships that comes with a small, private, local practice. For patients with cosmetic interests, Thomas Dermatology has an extensive aesthetics department featuring a team of experts who provide cosmetic injections like Botox and dermal fillers, as well as a full suite of state-of-the-art lasers and med spa services. The newest addition to the clinic is a facial plastic surgery division, allowing us to treat the aging face more comprehensively. These services are complemented by our extensive inventory of skincare products, offering patients the necessary and evidence-based ingredients to improve and maintain the health and look of their skin at home. Thomas Dermatology strives to be a part of every step in the patient's journey to healthy skin. We look forward to welcoming you and your families.
And I'd like to thank our sponsor, Thomas Dermatology, for all the care and professionalism they have shown me during the years that I've been a client of theirs. And I'd like to welcome back Kathleen Miller from Living Grace Homes. And
Thank you, Stephen.
following up from what you were saying, you have a waiting list. So how long is it that people stay with you? Do they come to you at like 4 months and you keep them for the next 5 months, or do they have to be 6 months into their pregnancy before you take them in? Are there any conditions like that, or they
No,
reach
they
out
come
to you?
to us at any point in their pregnancy. So the
Okay.
earliest they usually come is 5.5 or 6 weeks. They've missed that first period and taken a drugstore pregnancy test, or 2 or 5.
Oh,
And whoever they live with, it's either not a safe environment, or the person has said you can't be pregnant and live here. And so they come, and that's the earliest they come. The latest is a record that shall not be broken, because my one ironclad rule of all the things that I've done in almost 17 years as executive director, of unstopping toilets, of mowing lawns, of rocking babies, I do not deliver babies
oh.
outside of my scope of practice. And so I had a young lady that came at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she said, "Don't worry about it. Tomorrow's my due date, but I've been to the doctor and I'm not even a face, so it's going to be, several more days before the baby comes." And at 12:15 a.m., she's knocking at the house parent's door because her water is broken and she's in labor, and she delivered a little after 4:30 in the morning, so 12 and a half hours after she got there. So my rule is if you're already started in labor, you need to go to one of those 2 hospitals, because we do lots of stuff here, but we do not deliver babies.
Oh,
So.
I think you're entitled to that exception, with everything else you
And
provide.
we have an absolutely amazing OBGYN team that has been delivering the babies for Living Grace Homes for 15 of our 16 and a half years. And they do an amazing job. They take moms no matter where they are in their pregnancy, because most OBGYNs, if a woman has not had prenatal care by the time she's 5.5 to 6 months pregnant, they won't take them, because it's much higher risk, and that then puts them at higher risk of a malpractice suit, because if something goes wrong with the baby, it's got to be the doctor's fault, right?
Sure.
And so I have had, I think the quickest one is I picked up a young lady on July 9th that was due July 29th, and she saw our OB team twice, having had no prenatal care other than
my
going
goodness.
to the ER at University or UMC, and our doctors saw her twice before she had a scheduled C-section. So they are very committed to healthy moms and healthy babies.
Oh, sure. It's good that you have that support team,
Yes.
because that is so important. As you said, if some of them, they've never had any prenatal care or anything like that, that's kind of
Yes,
scary.
and we see that more than we would like to, where young women who've been on the streets or have been couch surfing, they've gotten their prenatal care simply by going to the emergency room, where they get an ultrasound and they get a estimated due date and some gestational information, but they don't actually get the kind of care that they get from an OB.
Well, I would suspect, I don't know, but you surely would, I would suspect those who are 14 or 15 probably wouldn't even know where to start going for
Right.
some of this
Exactly.
information. So
Exactly.
they probably
Yeah.
need a lot of hand-holding as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
So you not only house these people, these expectant mothers, I'm assuming you then provide them with the food and clothing, and is that all part and
They are.
parcel of the package?
We have 2 homes, and they operate just like any home with a family. Our on-site supervisor, her title is house mom, and because her job is to really parent these young moms, not the babies, but the young moms, and give them guidance and direction from everything from keeping house to maintaining their bedrooms to getting to appointments on time. I mentioned the 5 pillars. So the areas that we focus on when a young lady comes is legal. Does she have any outstanding wants and warrants? Does she have a traffic ticket? Does she have a trafficking ticket? Does she have a ticket for driving a car without insurance or a license? Has she been picked up for prostitution? Has she been involved in a fight at school where she got charged with battery? Any of those things, we make sure that she has legal counsel. We don't provide it, but we make sure she has it, and then we provide the support. Somebody goes to court with her so that she has the moral support, knowing that she's not alone, but also so that she's dealing with it without having to worry about looking over her shoulder to see if somebody's going to be knocking on her door and picking her up. Medical, not just the OBGYN, but dental, eyeglasses, mental health. They have to have a mental health assessment within the first 30 days of arriving, and if that assessment says that they need to be in counseling, they have to be in counseling in order to stay in the program. WIC and welfare, the benefits that they may receive. WIC is Women, Infant, and Children's Nutrition Program. It's a federal program for women with children up to the age of 5. And then the welfare programs cover Medicare, SNAP, which is the food stamp program, and TANF, which is Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, which is a small cash stipend. The biggest benefit to TANF is actually that they assist with childcare the first year after the baby is born. And so young moms going into the job market, our childcare costs here are one of the highest in the nation. And so that assistance with childcare allows them to be able to get established in a job and move up to where they can then become self-supporting.
Oh, nice.
So,
Very nice.
so education, our moms only 30% have finished high school by the time they come to Living Grace Home, and it doesn't matter whether they're 16 or 22. 70% have not completed high school. So we help them make sure that they either get their diploma or their equivalency diploma. And then finally, we help them find employment so that when they exit Living Grace Home, they are able to transition into their own housing, independent apartment, usually subsidized still, and be able to take care of their child and themselves, and be self-supporting.
Wow.
So
you're not just providing shelter, there are all these other tentacles that are part and parcel of your organization.
Yeah. And we focus on a lot of life skills training to help assist them with those skills that they generally did not learn in their home. So the life skills would be nutrition classes, financial literacy classes, parenting classes, child safety classes. Co-sleeping with your baby is not safe for your baby. Those are the kind of things that we have classes on, that we help them understand why it's important for them to put that baby in a bassinet and then in a crib. So
We're going to take another break. When we come back, I'd like to find out from you whether some of these pregnant women who are like 22, 23, whether they take on a nurturing condition for the younger ones, 14 or 15. I'd like to ask you that when we come back and see how things go. And we'll now take a break and hear from our second sponsor.
I started my career in financial services during the Great Recession, one of the worst markets we've ever been through. That challenging period was full of uncertainty, but every challenging period has its opportunities. Investing should never be like gambling. Your financial future is far more important. No one knows what the future holds, but here at Lucia Capital Group, our bucket strategy can help you prepare for whatever lies ahead. I'm Joshua Dowden. I've been working with clients for more than 16 years, and I can help you as well. My office is right here in the heart of Summerlin, just north of Charleston Boulevard. Don't let the stock market determine the quality of your retirement. Call me today for a free consultation at 702-508-6421. That's 702-508-6421.
And I'd like to thank Lucia Capital Group and Joshua Dowden for all the sage counsel they've given me over the years financially, and they've certainly been beneficial. And coming back, Kathleen, as I mentioned, to some of these ladies who are in their early 20s, do they take on a maternal instinct towards the younger ladies in the group that are stumbling and fumbling around?
Unfortunately, very rarely. That was my anticipation when we opened 16 and a half years ago. But what we found instead is that, and this is one of the things that we're preparing for as we prepare to serve an older age range, is that they are dealing with some of the same issues or problems or roadblocks that the younger moms are. So whether it is they've been trafficked sexually, they've been victims of domestic violence, they've been involved in substance abuse. Those are all things that we deal with our current population, and the older they are, the longer they have been entrenched in those negative behaviors, if you will. So it's a longer process to help them. More counseling is needed, more guidance is needed, more. So our program has both that live-in house mom, but we also have case managers for each house that help the moms set up, okay, what steps do I need to take in order to complete this program and successfully transition into independent living. With our own children, we want to give them roots and wings. We want to give them the firm foundation necessary to know right from wrong and how to do the right thing for the right reason. And then we want to give them the confidence and the skills necessary to fly out of the nest and soar. These young ladies have not had either of those. And so first we have to undo some bad behaviors that have been ingrained, and then we have to help them develop new good habits. And unfortunately, whether they're 16 or 23, they tend not to. We have had a few that have had some of that nurturing. The biggest common denominator for our young ladies is, out of over 750 young women who have gone through our program, only 22 have come from a home where mom and dad were still married to each other.
Oh, good grief.
Right?
That's horrible.
Isn't that shocking?
Yes.
22 out of over 750. The rest have come from either never married or divorced homes. The young men are coming from that same dynamic, and therefore neither one of them knows what it's supposed to look like to form an intact married family, which is what is best for everybody. Men who marry the mothers of their children live longer, live healthier, and make more money over the course of their lifetime. Women who are married, who are not married and have children, are the number one demographic in poverty in our country today.
Good grief.
There's three simple things that could be changed culturally in the United States that would make a huge difference in terms of poverty. And it's not how much TANF is paid or how much medical care is given. It is finish high school, get a job, and get married before you have children. And every study that I've seen in 30 years has come up with those three things. You can almost guarantee that you will not spend long-term in poverty. Not that you won't spend any time in poverty, but that you won't spend long-term in poverty.
No, it stands to reason. It makes sense when you think about it. Do you have? You're talking about, the men. Do you find that as it gets close towards the end of the pregnancy, that the men come back into any of these ladies' lives, or very seldom?
No. I would say that the number of fathers of the children at Living Grace that are involved in the child's life and stay involved in the child's life is less than 10%.
Yeah.
And
Bad.
I actually have seen it go the other way, where they are been there throughout the pregnancy, and I'm all on board, I'm going to be a daddy, and baby comes, and the first time they get you need to pay some child support,
They're gone.
vaporized
Yes.
before our very eyes. So.
One thing I liked about your website, Kathleen, I loved your motto, "Hope is born here." I think that's such a beautiful motto for your organization, because
Doesn't it just tell the story?
it told me the story right there. As soon as I saw that, it just stuck out.
Yeah.
Like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that motto? Because it really is. It speaks to who you are and what you do.
So it was fun. We had been opened a few years, and we always had way more material support than we did financial support. So we opened on a wing and a prayer and put together our own brochure and came up with free clip art and free ways to do it. Printed them off on our HP printer in our office. And we'd been open like 5 or 6 years when one of our board members brought somebody in to do a rebranding. And we got a new logo that wasn't off of the free clip art site. And she brought it back to us, and she said everybody needs to have a tagline. And so the tagline that she had proposed was, "Hope lives here." And one of my board members looked at it and he said, really, hope is born here.
Yes.
And everybody on the board just said, yeah, that's
Yes.
it. That's really who we are.
Yes,
So,
it is who you are.
yes. So,
Tell us a little bit before we go. Where do you get your funding from? Do you get corporate money or government grants, or mainly individual donors or fundraisers?
We get some local private foundation grants, and we get a small amount of support from Clark County. But we also, our biggest source has been churches. We are a faith-based organization. We're not affiliated with a particular denomination, but we're based on Matthew 25:40, where we're called to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and provide shelter to those in need. And so up until this last year, the churches had been our biggest source of support. We have an anonymous donor that made a large contribution starting in 2020, and it's made a significant difference in our ability to grow the program at Living Grace Home. And then last year, for the first time, we applied for and received a federal grant that was so tailored to what we do that we just really couldn't pass up the opportunity to apply for it. And it's through the Department of Housing and Human Services, and it is specifically a youth maternity housing grant.
Great.
So when my development director and another grant writer were going through the RFP, the request for proposal, they said, you know what? The first time we get to something that is not in alignment with our mission or with our morals, we're just not going to put the time in to do it. And they got to page 4 and they said, they could have been sitting in our living room when they wrote the requirements for this grant, because the grant is really about everything that we do, whether it's getting them enrolled in school, or helping them get reunited with a family member if that's an option, or helping them find jobs, or financial literacy classes. All the things that we've already been doing for years and years were some of the requirements of this grant that we received. So we're getting ready to go into our second year of our first federal grant. So
Great. And it's, you know what, it's what's nice about your organization, from what I'm hearing, is each of these individuals do have different needs.
yes,
And you are not treating them like numbers. You're not just saying, well, we only do this, we only do that.
correct.
You're trying to cover all the needs of that individual. And I think that's just absolutely marvelous what you're doing.
Thank you.
And it's been delightful having you as a guest. Before we go, would you like to share with us how people can reach out to you and give us some information on the
Absolutely.
organization?
Absolutely. So we will be having a winter fundraiser, Glitter, Glamour, and Grace, but I don't have the information, so watch the website for it. And the website is livinggracehomes.org. You don't have to do the www anymore. It's just livinggracehomes.org. And our phone number at the office is 702-212-6472. And what we are always in need of is, we're always in need of volunteers, because volunteers multiply the works of our hands. We are always in need. I'm currently in need of some board members, and we're always in need of monthly donors, because they're the ones that help us keep the lights on and the doors open. So
That's wonderful, and thank you for sharing that. And if there are any viewers out there watching this program and you feel that you need either the services of Living Grace Homes, or you could volunteer or donate, you have the information now to reach out to them, and they'd love to hear from you, no matter what manner you choose to support this organization or take advantage of them. So thank you again for being on the program. You've been a wonderful guest. You're doing the Lord's work. There's no
Thank you.
question about it. And I'd also like to thank our show's producer, John Stiles, and WWDBTV for allowing me to host this program on their station. I fully appreciate it. I also thank our sponsors, Thomas Dermatology, Lucia Capital Group, and the third sponsor, who you'll hear from at the end of the program, RJ Champion, who's been my business partner for the last 25 years. And I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in today. I hope you found it informative and educational, and hope that you will tune in next week, when our guest will be Kimberly Miles, and she will be talking to us about human trafficking. So I hope you will join us then. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to reach out to me at stephen@thegiftofgiving.vegas. And in the meantime, be safe, be kind to one another, and have a fantastic week.
Mr. R.J. Champion is proud to sponsor WWDB-TV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.